Welcome to the Wheel Reads YouTube. We're going to do something different or new for you guys. If you watched the introductory video to our YouTube channel, then you've seen all the different segments or series that we'll be running through on this YouTube channel. One of the playlists that you can see is how-tos. So this is going to be the introductory video to how-tos. So what are we going to do how-to videos on? So there's at least two things that I'm going to start with. It's probably going to expand from there, but we'll start with these two things. So the first thing is how to podcast. Am I an expert on podcasting? Not in the least. Have I been doing it now for over a year? Yes. Have I learned a lot? Yes. Am I happy to share what I've learned and what I learned not to do? Sure. And that's really the whole point of this. Over the next few months, probably, I will be going through several different videos and sectioning out different aspects of how to run a podcast. The first one I will talk about is how to find your topic or your niche. I can't stress it enough that you just find something you're really passionate about and something you really care about rather than just trying to find something that's popular. If it's popular, that means it's already oversaturated most likely and not probably the best thing to start a podcast on, unless you really think you have something that they don't. So, and that might be the case as well. And I'm not trying to discourage you from starting a podcast by any means. Just be realistic in your picking your topic and what you want to do a podcast on. And I'll do a whole video just on that. The next thing I will go through is formatting. Well, that's a lot of things we can do. Do you want to have a co-host? Do you want to have guests on? Do you want to be by yourself? There are pros and cons to all these different ways of going about it. And I'm going to do a lot of research and bring you a whole video about the pros and cons on how to format your podcast and what would be best for you, and allows you to pick out what you think fits for you personally. Personally, at The Wheel Reads, I have two co-hosts. That just works for us. I've seen podcasters that are just by themselves. I've seen them that they don't bring guests on, where they do bring guests on. It just all depends on really, one, your topic and what you're trying to do. A lot of these true crime podcasts, of course, don't have guests. They're just telling stories. It's just one person by themselves. So, that might be your niche. Who knows? I think that's oversaturated, but hey, you might have something that I don't know about. The next series I'll do is marketing. So I've learned a lot about marketing, especially social media marketing. That is the easiest way to market your podcast. There's also several other platforms out there you can pay for to get your name out there, and groups you can be part of. I'll talk about some of the ones I've heard people use, what I think are better ones. Also talk about, social media and, how to run that. Marketing is very important if you want to have anyone listen to your podcast. So happy to talk about some of the tips that I've learned about marketing. The next one I'll do is going to be on choosing a distribution platform. And this might be combined with also choosing your recording software or your recording platform, because they could be one and the same. A lot of distribution platforms also have recording built in. There's pros to that. There's cons to that. I will go through all that and some of the other common recording software that people use. I'll even go through what we use. Now, I've used several since we started, so I have a little bit of familiarity with that. I might also add in, depending on how long the video is, editing software. Editing your podcast is important. Some of these distribution platforms allow you to edit directly there. There's also third-party programs you can both pay for and are free. So we'll talk about all of that and what I think is the best one and easiest one to use and let you guys decide. Then I will go into equipment. So equipment is one of those things that people think is really important, and it is in the long run. It's not important to get started. You can really start a podcast just with your phone. Many podcasters do. In fact, we did. And that's all we had. We didn't have a fancy microphone or even fancy computers or any fancy things that we paid for. We started with a $0 budget and started a podcast, and we're able to do it. So it is possible. But over the year, I've done a ton of research on different types of equipment to use and what is the best equipment to use, and whether it's microphones, computers, what specs you want for a computer, for editing, things of that nature. And we'll go through all that in a video all around equipment. And then monetization. So some people do create podcasts to make money. I don't personally recommend that. Podcasting is probably not the easiest way to make money. Yes, you can make money. And I will talk about all the ways you can make money podcasting. I might miss some because I might not know some yet either. But we have monetized our podcast in lots of different ways. And I'll talk about some of the benefits, pros and cons to that, some of the different ways you can monetize a podcast, and then talk about ways to get paid to do what you love. Finally, the last thing that we'll cover is pitfalls. Things that I've done wrong or things that I learned that others do wrong that will cause you not to have a successful podcast. So I will do an entire video, maybe even multiple videos just on pitfalls. There are plenty that I've learned. There's plenty that I've done. Things that have hurt our podcast or that, really, really are detrimental to a podcast. And I'll talk about some of those tips. So hopefully you guys can avoid some of these pitfalls that people get into when podcasting. So that will probably be the final part of the series, and it might be its own mini series in itself. Switching to a more topic that I have an expertise on, I'm also going to do how-tos on sailing. So I probably will do sailing videos, keep doing my sailing videos, and those might have how-tos built into them where I talk about how to do different positions on the boat and different aspects of racing. I'm not going to necessarily add those to the how-to segment, but what I will do is maybe talk about how-tos on different things involved with long-distance sailing. I have a long-distance sailing background. I did do an attempt to sail at least halfway around the world. Didn't make it. I actually had planned the whole way. Didn't end up joining the crew till later, but did a lot of the route planning. I learned a lot about that, a lot about things to look for, and I love doing it. And I'd love to actually just, as part of the how-to, show you guys how to route plan, how to prepare for long distance voyages. Also things and tips you might need for that. I can also get into how-tos for racing. I have extensive knowledge on racing sailboats as well, but I want to stick to the cruising stuff first. One thing that I will be going through is using my trusty book. It's a big book. It's Jimmy Cornell's World Cruising Routes. This is the Bible to really planning a route. Has everything from like ports you can go to and has a list of different potential ports, times of year to sail. Even has cool maps in here showing like what port you should leave from. This happens to be South America, talking about going towards Antarctica. If that particular route you're going to choose. And you can pretty much go around the entire world in this book and plan out a route. So what I'll probably do for those videos is just maybe do 15 minutes at a time and actually plan out a route. Share my screen, maybe put some background music to it, explain what I'm doing, and show the book, show some of the websites I use for references, and really just get into having fun planning a around the world route. I might plan several, and it might actually be interactive as well. I might jump on Twitter and ask you guys, hey, where should we go next? Or ask people to leave in the comments, or give you a couple options. Obviously, if we're in South America, you can't say go to Australia right away. There's a couple ports in between. That's a long crossing, and no one does that. I say no one. It's very, very tough to do that. So that's not the kind of route plan I want to plan anyway. So I might give you 2 or 3 options. Where should we go next? And we'll plan a route from there. Explain why that works, why it doesn't work. And you might get to the point where like, oh, this whole route didn't work. We have to start over again, which happens a lot in route planning. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy doing it. And hopefully to bring that to you guys, it'll be relaxing and maybe learn a little bit about the world as we do this, because we'll be virtually visiting these places while spinning around a Google Earth and actually plotting out a course. And I'll talk about different things along the way. So it'll probably be a how-to route plan, but then also add in how-tos while I'm doing it to kind of explain different aspects as we're moving along. Different parts of the world have different customs and different things in its own challenges. So learning all those things is very important. So those are kind of right now the 2 things, podcasting and route planning for sailing, that I'm going to start with the how-tos. Like I said, it might go elsewhere. I might do how to tie knots, how to, repair something. I might do some boat repairs, bring a GoPro with me and do a how-to video on how to rebuild a winch on a sailboat, or if I have to repair something in my backyard, like a fence, how to repair a fence. I don't know. I don't really want to make it a do-it-yourself channel. I want to just show you some of the things that I like and how to do them yourself if you choose to do them as well. And maybe even if not, just something you can enjoy watching and learn something about. So that's all I really got for right now. Please leave some comments down below as far as any other ideas or anything else you want to learn about. I'm happy to share. If you don't know this about me yet, I'm really, really all about helping everyone out and just being a resource for people. With that being said, don't forget to like and subscribe this video right down there. And look forward to making some more of these, and hopefully you guys enjoy them. So until next time, peace.